Welcome to the General's Workshop, and today we're going to be showing you how to do this drill driver charging station that is revolutionary. I am absolutely in love with this thing. It is self-cleaning, 5 stars, would recommend it. Let's go. Have you ever wondered about the challenges of storing your tools in the open air? We've seen a lot lately about the French cleat system, which I happen to love, but there are some challenges that are associated with it, and today I'm going to be introducing to you dusty tools. Today, guys, we're going to be building a drill driver hanging station or a charging station that's going to take you a lot less time than you think, especially if you've got an upper cabinet that you can repurpose to the cause. By integrating the tool storage or your charging station into your upper cabinets, you can avoid, honestly, all the headaches associated with storing your tools out in the open. Because the honest truth is, not every woodworker has a dust collection system. And even those who do cannot capture 100% of the dust and or the debris. So that means that any of your tools that you store out in the open will likely have a layer of dust on them. If you think about the tools that you want to protect the most, in my particular case, I want to protect all of my power tools that have a motor and an air intake, and that sawdust can and will find its way in, eventually affecting the life and the longevity of your tools. Let's go ahead and build us one of these. So let's get it cleaned out and get it going. And just like that, it's done. Hey, one of the first things that we got to do is we got to identify everything that we want to actually put up into our miter station. And here's all the things that I'm going to be including: drills, drivers, impacts, chargers, batteries. But all this we have to incorporate into the build as we're getting ready to do it. So when it comes to the electrical, what I did is I've got a outlet strip right here that I just went up and I bore 1-inch holes and then went straight up with extension cords. That way it allows me to actually have a outlet strip on the very top. Why? Because eventually I'm gonna be having a variety of different things up top here. I'm also gonna be having a whole shelving system that will require lighting. And then I just ran that over here. And the nice thing about that is that when you do it with extension cords and these outlet strips, it's easier for most people that don't know how to do the actual electrical work, and it is compliant with code. We've got both of our shelves cut, so let's go and cut 4 at 11 and then 2 at 5 inches. So now we're going to go ahead and get ready to start working on the PVC holders. I have found a very specific order that I think works really well for doing this. And there is quite a few steps that actually goes with this, right? So the first one is going to be, one, we're going to measure 5 inches back from this. So let's go ahead and measure 5 inches back. And then we're going to mark that right at the H. So I'm going to mark that on here. And again, I mark that, and then I know in relation that mark, and then also that center print that's going down, I know that that's going to be my center. Clamps, flip them upside down, and then I am going to secure both sides against this corner, which allows me to do both very well. So then I'm going to take the point of my Fostner bit. Now that we've got that hole cut, now we're going to take it over, we're going to glue and put those 3.5 by 3.5 inch blocks on the very ends of these. So then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take these here. The one thing I want to kind of point out is that there is always this print, and that goes directly down the center. And as you can see, these are the 3.5 by 3.5 inch blocks, and I've marked the centermost spot on that. So in a sense, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hot glue this directly onto here, because the outside diameter of this is a 3.5, but the inside diameter is 3 inch. So this is perfect. If I just line it up just like that, that'll keep the PVC from rolling on me when I'm using it. Just put a little bit of pressure, and then I'm going to do that for all the rest of them. So now that we got the 3.5 inch by 3.5 inch block on there, and again, we've got it so that it's flush on all 4 sides. Now we can take it over to the table saw and get these cut. So our first cut, what we're going to end up doing is I've already taken off my cover, my blade guard, and then also my writhing knife. I'm going to set this, okay, and that's going to give me, one, this reference is going to allow me to kind of keep it square. I'm going to bring it all the way through, and I'm going to go to that 2-inch Fostner bit hole that we drew. All right, and then the next measurement is going to be 2 1/4. So now that we got that cut, let's go and give it a test fit. The next part that we want to do is we're going to put the holes in for when it drills up on the underside of the shelf. Mark it off at 2, and then I'm also going to do it at 8. Now when we come around the opposite side over here, and again that measurement was at 2. There we go. So now with that hot glue, simply can knock that off. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this started. 2-inch, I can reach it, and I'm going to bring this through, get it started. And then of course I've pre-indicated the lines, line them up as far as that center mark is concerned. So now let me just do the last one, then we'll be ready to set this up. So let's actually go ahead and get this installed. So here's one of the challenges I just had. My phone had shut off while I was recording this portion of it, and I did not check it. So here's what I'm going to say to you guys. One, this is just simply the same dimension as the shelf. The only thing is that we added on these downward side support. Those are glued from up top, and then I just did 2 cross pieces at the very bottom of it. Now, this pull-out system, all that it is just a little bit narrower than this opening. And then at the back, and specifically I went on 1 inch from the bottom, right? Because the board itself is 3/4 of an inch. And I just drilled out a 5mm hole. You can use these shelf pins. So drilled in on both of the ends in the back here, used a little bit of a super glue, popped those in there. Now, before I fastened this piece to this, route a little channel. You see that little channel back there, and you're just gonna take your router with your drill bit, and you're gonna route it down, and you're gonna come all the way up until you get right to where that pocket hole is, and then you would stop there. You wouldn't go all the way through. That way when the pin is riding along this, it gets to the front and then it stops. Then it swings down and then it rests against this edge here. So now that that's all set, let's go ahead and get that in there. And the last thing that I'll mention on this is you're gonna wanna go ahead, and I drilled these out just on the outside of where this sits. Why? So that I can get to that and screw that in on the back side. If you don't, then as this rests down and it presses against here, you're gonna find that it might lift. In the front, I've already marked those and pre-drilled those. So all that you would do is you would now take a little marker, dab that, dab in the back as well, take it out, and then just drill the pilot, which I've already done. Next, in order for me to get that front one in, because I did not drill a hole to go through, I'm actually going to be using this 90°, which works fantastic. For me, this has been in my top 5 fun projects. I have absolutely loved this and functionally have enjoyed it after the build itself. Love it, love it, love it. So for you guys, if you've ever thought about those French cleats yourself and you're tempted on trying those out, and you're also wanting to figure out, but how could I do it so that my tools don't get all dirty, right? Well, hey, consider this. Just like we embedded hanging drill charging station inside of these, you could also do that with your tools and your French cleats. That's gonna be the next one. So check out this video here and I'll go over how do you do French cleats and how do you make some of those